Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Mr. Michael. Thank you for joining me today and giving me this opportunity to interview you.
Well, thank you, Kishan. Thank you for selecting me for this interview. And I understand that we'll be talking about a very important topic, that is, how do you succeed as a young entrepreneur? Am I right?
Yes, definitely.
Great. Well, first and foremost, I think for the benefit of all our viewers right now, I'd like to introduce you. So Kishan is a very outstanding student leader from INTI International College Penang, whom I've had the great opportunities to meet in one of my seminars that I conducted in that college. And Kishan, perhaps you want to take this 30 seconds to introduce yourself to all the viewers. What do you study? What are you passionate about? What do you do? So people can get to know you better.
Yeah, I'm Kishan. I'm from INTI International College Penang. I'm 19 and I'm in my second year. I'm actually pursuing my diploma in business at the moment. And I actually believe in I want to try to change the world because it's sad to see how a lot of people are suffering, and I want to inspire people to dream big. That's what I hope to achieve. And in meeting you in that seminar, you actually inspired me so much. That's the reason why I selected you, and I hope when people see this interview, it inspires many others.
Thank you so much, Kishan. You have been so kind. Kishan has been one of the more outstanding students, where I conducted a seminar on actually coaching students to create charitable projects, social enterprises, and Kishan was one of those few student leaders who actually came up with so many brand new ideas that I'm pretty sure you'll be able to get the support that you need in order to grow your entrepreneurial dreams. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Now, first and foremost, I think it'll be great for me to introduce myself briefly and how I am actually related to this context of entrepreneurship at a young age.
Yeah.
So what happened is that I remember fondly, I started my business when I was in high school. Now, nothing big about that. It was during high school where I had like little stalls selling Valentine's Day gifts. And that was a very powerful experience, personally for me, because during that time, no matter how young you are, there will always be someone in your life that you want to impress. And of course, I was studying in a school where it was a mixed gender school. So we have guys, we have girls over there. And Valentine's Day is one of the most profitable season of the year. I mean, the guys will try to impress the girls, you'll be rather surprised, will also try to impress the guys. So if you sell any souvenirs on Valentine's Day, you are bound to get some great response from the crowd. So I remember having this little stall at the age of 16 years old, selling candle bears. Now, these are bears that literally my team and I made on our own, where we would actually melt little candlesticks and we will put them into this little mold that looks like bears, and then we will let them dry up. You know, we will melt the candles first, they will put into the mold, and then we will let them dry up, and then we resell them. And you can imagine where here in Malaysia, where a box of candles, those sticks candles, would cost you around 3 ringgit. All right, and I think during that time when we would melt one stick of a candle, that one stick could actually create 2 candle bears. And guess what? We sold every candle bear each for 10 ringgit. So that's like for $10, and in a candle box you have at least 12 candles, so you could do the math. So it's a highly profitable business. So I think that was
sure
one of those,
you definitely sold out.
Yeah, those were my first entrepreneurial experience. And I think I just wanted to share with you the first tip I learned from that day. And that is always understand when are the peak seasons to actually approach your customers. When would be the best seasons that you know they'll be hungry to buy. And I think you could only find out information like that once you do research and research. You have to do observation on studying how your consumers normally react. For example, if you know during the Christmas times, if you were to sell toys, most likely your consumers would be more likely to buy toys during the Christmas time or the Christmas holiday season compared to any other season. That's because it's the season of giving. It's how the media have actually, well, I would say, quote unquote, influenced us, brainwashed us to a certain extent to know that when it's Christmas, it's time for giving, it's time to buy Christmas presents. So if you are an entrepreneur looking at capitalizing on the holiday seasons, Christmas time would be the best time for you to sell products or toys in this matter. So I remember starting my first entrepreneurial venture at the age of 16. And as time moved along, fast forward, I've started businesses in event management where we were responsible for, actually my team and I, we were responsible for bringing in the largest TED Talks now in Asia that is called TEDxKL. So we brought that in, the business model we created where we sold tickets, we actually got sponsorships. And then an event management company, I then shifted my attention to doing what I love doing right now. And that is corporate training, producing seminars, developing, training, and inspiring thousands of lives around the world. And if you look at the business model that we have, we charge ticket sales through our seminars, we charge product sales, Fortune 500 companies will usually hire us to conduct trainings, to develop their salespeople, to develop their customer service representatives, to develop their leaders. So that is our business model. So this would lead us to the second point I want to share with you. That is, if you want to succeed as an entrepreneur, no matter how young or old you are, you need to understand totally about your business model. You need to understand how are you going to make money. Because again, I know some of you watching right now, making money is like a taboo, you know, wow, I'm not in it to make the money. Well, guess what? Whenever you make money, whenever you make an income for your business or for your project, it is actually an opportunity for you to sustain your business. That's number one. Number two, it's an opportunity for you to expand your business. Because in my personal belief, if you are a successful entrepreneur, you would then have the ability to increase the positive impact that you are currently creating for your customers. And that means providing them with better products. That means becoming more effective and efficient in delivering your services. Now, we are not living in La La Land. We're not in a land where when we wish for something, it would just fall off from the sky. We're living in a land where it's pragmatic, it's reality, in a sense where if we want to expand our business, we have to pay someone else who has the expertise, or we have to pay a company, a business, another business that has the resources that we need that will enable us to expand our business. So if you think about it that way, earning money, earning revenue, increasing profitability for your business can be something extremely fun, because you know that every time you earn $1 each day, you are actually earning that dollar to help you sustain your business, to make sure that you're able to put food on the table, to make sure that all your staffs are happy with your company, and at the same time opening up the possibility for your company to grow and expand further. So today I am an entrepreneur running Thriving Talent. We are a talent development company focusing on seminar productions, corporate training for Fortune 500 clients. So that would be a little bit introduction, but I know I've shared with you two powerful points on how you can be a young and successful entrepreneur. So do your research, observe your customer base, know which season do they react the best to your products or services, and number two, always identify business model. Always understand how you're going to make money from your business. Back to you, Kishan.
I've heard that you are a successful entrepreneur now, but comes to my first question. Can I ask a little bit about your background, how you got there? Who were you and what inspired you when you were a student? Like I heard you've been to Harvard and Stanford, you know, how did you get there?
Wow, okay, well, those are a few questions. Well, first of all, I think it all started off with a revelation. Like a lot of people became entrepreneurs because they discovered, they are awakened by an inspiration. So during my time, just to share a little bit of background, I didn't come from a rich family. I mean, my parents are part of the working class. They're entrepreneurs themselves, but they always believed that education could change the lives of people. So what happened is when my parents, my mom and my dad just got married, they started a social enterprise providing tuition classes to poor students. And of course, because they were providing these services to poor students, they couldn't charge a lot. However, it really makes them happy every time that they see that through the tuition services that they provide, that they have eventually changed the lives of many students. Now, I was growing up in that family, so you can imagine I wasn't growing up with a silver spoon. During times when I was growing up, 2 to 3 years old, I was already accompanying my parents to the office. My mom would take care of me in the office. When I've come of age at 5 or 6 years old, I was actually asked to be the cleaner, so I actually clean up after classes in my parents' tuition center. So very humble beginning. But during that time, what I found was that I was a youth that lacked confidence. I mean, I was often bullied in school because I was not good in sports. And I was often isolated. I was alienated by my peers. I was ridiculed by my peers because I was not good in sports. And then what happened is a revelation, again, an awakening point happened in my life was when I was 15 years old, when I entered high school, I decided that I do not want to be bullied anymore. So in one of the most important days of my life at that juncture, I wanted to show the world, I wanted to show my high school that I could actually be good in sports. So I trained hard for my national school sports day. And it was attended by 900 people. They were all cheering. They were all seated around the field. And I thought that this is a make or break situation. I'm going to prove to the world that I can do it. And what happened was during that day, you know, in preparation, I trained 2 months. I run tracks. And I participated in the 100-meter sprint. So I was going to run sprint for 100 meters. I mean, how hard can that get? So what happened was at that time, I trained hard for 2 months. And then that fateful day came. I decided to actually win the first race in my life. Or even if I don't win the first race, at least let me finish. Now what happened was, as fate would have it, I started the race. And then, twist of fate, I fell. After just 2 steps. Now that was embarrassing. My face was splashed with mud. And the next thing I realized was I was asked not to get up. And Kishan, you know that how in all motivational shows, the coach would ask you to get up, to stand up. But during that time, my coach yelled at me saying, don't stand up, don't stand up. And I was shocked. Later, I found out the reason being because my left knee was no longer in its right socket. My left knee was disconnected from my body. And the pain was excruciating that I felt numb. I couldn't even feel the pain anymore. And at that time, I thought that, you know, people are going to come to help me. People are going to show me mercy. But instead, I got greeted with laughter. Instead, people were laughing at how inadequate I was. People were laughing of how weak I was, of how I'm lame because I couldn't even complete a race in my life. And the bully continued. But on that day, I realized something. And that one message became the mantra in my life. I decided to get up, not literally because I couldn't stand at that time, but I decided to wake up, feel inspired, and challenge myself saying, I will not wait for opportunities to come. I will start creating my own opportunities. And I was in a cast for the next 3 months, and the bully continued, where people would ridicule me. I was walking around in a cast in school with a stretcher, you know. But what happened was, after 3 months, when I was able to walk again, I came to this realization where, hey, let's do something exciting when we were in high school. So that was the time when I started exploring entrepreneurship. That was the time when I started to actually dwell in about business. I remember when I was 15, after I recovered from my knee injury, there were like students were all nervous about taking exams. And I remember going to shopping malls, going to bookstores where other students would be purchasing books on how to pass their exams with flying colors. I would normally purchase books about how to become CEOs, how to launch business at a young age. And I do that. I would read these books and I would implement all the strategies that they shared. So that was a turning point for me. That was a turning point where I'm a believer, where you decide your own destiny, where you create your own opportunity. I think one of the biggest mistakes that young people have is that they feel because our generation now is the most optimum generation for young people. I mean, companies are selling to young people. Companies are being helmed, are being led, are being founded by young people. Young people are pretty much spoiled right now because the world is their world right now. However, I always caution young people, do not fall into the trap of feeling that you are entitled to the benefits of the world without putting in those hard work. So what happened is that I always find young people blaming circumstances, young people blaming the economy, young people blaming the politicians, young people blaming the CEOs, young people blaming our ancestors, our forefathers, our own parents, that they're unable to succeed because of the circumstances that have been invented for them. But guess what? Why play the blame game? Why not wake up and then be inspired and know that you can make a change? And that has always been my philosophy. Create opportunities. And that was when I started going into business. I started joining competitions. And I think that's one of the things I wanted to share with all of you hearing this and watching this right now. Always use time to experiment, especially if you're young, especially if you can afford to experiment. Always try. If you wanted to get into business plan competitions, get into startup competitions, get into pitching competition, pitch your ideas, test your ideas with two groups. Number one, test it out with a crowd to understand whether is there a market for your idea. Number two, test it out among your trusted friends. Try to get team members. Try to get other people to support your idea who could work with you on making those ideas fly. That will give you some indication of whether the idea will be successful or not. So use the time that you have right now to experiment. Now, what happened is, of course, Kishan, you asked, I've had the great opportunities to join some education programs in Harvard, in Stanford, in INSEAD, all on scholarship. And I know that that's the dream of every student and young entrepreneur to actually study in this top-notch business schools who have produced the Google founders, who have produced Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, who have produced Bill Gates. I mean, these are terrific institutions. And oftentimes people would tend to ask me, Michael, how do you get into this organization? And the secret is, again, that mindset of saying, I am not going to wait for Harvard to invite me to enroll in their course because I'm living here in Malaysia. The opportunity, the chance of that happening is nearly zero. However, what happened is when I reach out to people in Harvard, asking them, hey, what are the scholarships that you have available? What are some of the foreign education programs that you have? What are some of the programs that you have designed specifically for non-academic students to join? And when you start thinking about creating these opportunities will be attracted to you. I mean, I got to know about the Harvard program for international relations, which was specifically designed for foreign students to enroll in Harvard courses, enroll in Harvard business conferences. I got to know about that because I put the intention that I want to study in Harvard. And this was back in the year 2008 when I was in my final years of my university. And when I put that intention out there, if you believe in the universe or you believe in God, when you put your intention out there, miracles happen. And for this case, it started off with me Googling how to get into Harvard programs for international students. And then I stumbled on a blog that was written by another student in Cornell University in the United States. Now, if you know, Cornell University is seen as the Ivy Leagues together with Harvard. And what happened is that then I read his blog and he actually taught us on how to get into the Harvard project for international relations. I applied, I asked for tips, I persisted. And in the end, I got it. I got an entry into the Harvard Project for International Relations, where I had the opportunity to study about international relations. And then I got into Stanford. Now, Stanford was 2009. Again, I put that intention up there. I was saying that, all the successful entrepreneurs in the world, networking is extremely important. So I want to be associated with the best people. And during that time, I thought, Harvard, Stanford, they are the best. So I put that intention out there saying that I want to get into Stanford. Now what happened is that then, because I've already attended a Harvard program, I would now start Googling what Stanford programs are available for international students. And during that time, if you are a fan of entrepreneurship or business, Stanford organized something called the Stanford Summit. I looked through the website and then I found out that there's an application process for international students, and then I applied. Now, obviously, Stanford then gave me a conditional offer where they said, you can be enrolled in the program, but you need to raise money. Again, how much do you want to pursue that idea? If you want to pursue that idea, if you're really passionate about it, one of the things you want to do is that you want to make use of all your networks and resources. Think out of the box to try to get sponsorship. So during that time, really, I used the opportunity to contact corporate sponsors here in Malaysia. And sure enough, I contacted 20 companies, 19 of them said no to me. Again, 19 of them said no, which means one of them said yes. So they gave me the funding, and the next thing I know, I'm now in Stanford University. I visited the Google campus, I visited the Facebook office, I visited LinkedIn's office. It was amazing. But it all started off with that mindset of wanting to create your own opportunity. Because once you have that mindset as an entrepreneur, you will never stop. You will start thinking that the world is of abundance and you could do something with your life. So those are the few examples that I'd like to share of how I got into those two highly prestigious institutions.
You may have lost that race back in high school, but you definitely are for the race in life.
Well, thank you. I mean, I still have a long way to go, and I'm a believer that lifelong learning is there. That's why, I agreed to this interview. I like this interview because I always want to share my knowledge. Because Kishan, and to all of you watching this right now, you would have things that you could share with me, your own experiences as well.
So I hear many people say that being an entrepreneur is really hard and they have no time for life. Is that really true? What is your take on that?
Again, I disagree. It really depends on your definition of running your business, of becoming an entrepreneur. Like for me, I must admit, there are ups and downs. There are days where I feel that as an entrepreneur, life is so tough. I need to look for money. I need to look for customers. But there are also days when I would wake up at 6 a.m. knowing that, wow, I'm going to create something that's going to rock the world. Now, as an entrepreneur, I believe, yes, you would need to put in extra effort. But guess what? When you become an entrepreneur, you are working on something that you are truly passionate about. You are working on something that you know will make you happy. You're working on something that you know it will leverage on your strength, on something that you love to do. Which is why I've always shared with a lot of young people. If you want to become an entrepreneur, a truly happy entrepreneur, you need to do two things. I've mentioned it earlier at the start of my sharing session with you and to all of you watching right now. The first thing is always research. Observe the trends in the market. Know when are the right seasons for you to sell your products or your services to your targeted customers. Number two, always understand a business model. Always get to know how are you going to market your product, where are you going to earn money, who are you going to earn money, why should people pay you for your products and your services. Now, once you have done those two critical steps of research, what happened then? You would have a proof, you would have a bulletproof, I would say, a proven model to launch your business. Now, when you have that, and if you're doing that business, like how I'm running Thriving Talents, because as you could see, I love to talk, I love to inspire, I love to see other people succeed through the seminars that I give. What happened is that I found my passion. My passion is I want to inspire people. At the same time, I've also discovered the model on how I could actually sustain myself and grow my company. So to answer your question in a nutshell, entrepreneurs, they do not have life. I disagree. It depends on how you define your pursuit of your business. Because at the end of the day, you can have fun with your business, you can have fun launching new initiatives, you can have fun being the leader of your business because you are convinced and you know you are making a positive impact every day. Now, having said that though, I always share with young people that becoming an entrepreneur doesn't mean that you're gonna get rich overnight. I mean, even Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, they took a while to build their track records. They took a while to actually create that traction that they have to become highly successful in their business. So if young people were to come up to me and say, I want to be an entrepreneur because I want to get rich fast, well, it is possible, but highly unlikely. You become an entrepreneur because you want to change lives. You become an entrepreneur because you want to build a dream. The payoffs will happen later. However, you become an entrepreneur because it's a lifestyle that you have chosen for yourself. It's a lifestyle that you know when you become an entrepreneur, you're ready to put everything on the line. You're ready to go out there and start creating your own brand, your own presence. That's what I would share with people.
I totally agree with that. I mean, if you're passionate about something, you'll go all out for it. You have fun, then there's nothing to say that it's hard.
True.
My next question is, what actually guided you to become an entrepreneur? Did you have any other dreams when you were younger? Maybe you wanted to become something else, a lawyer, a doctor, or yeah.
Well, I must say that this is a powerful tip that I wanted to share with all the young people out there, is that in different phases of your life, you will actually go through evolutions. So when I was in high school, I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a pilot. And then as I moved on to university, I started to get inspired by management. I started to get inspired by consulting. So I wanted to be a management consultant. And then as you're exposed in the corporate world, you would then aspire, or I aspire to become a CEO. That's fine. However, at the age of 19, that was when I decided where entrepreneurship is the path I wanted to pursue on a serious note, and that would be my life's calling, was after I attended seminars, pretty much like this. And I was inspired by speakers, young entrepreneurs themselves, who shared how they succeeded in their business, who shared about their pitfalls and failures, yet their persistency have actually carried them through the waves of challenges. And that was what I did. I was inspired by them. Now, one of the other tips, the first thing I want to share with you, for all of you watching right now, and for you, Kishan, is that once you know that inspiration within you, once you're so inspired and you know that with the strength that you have right now, if you are so dedicated and determined to set your own business, go ahead, do it. Now, the second tip I'd like to share with you is, especially to all the young people out there, is that your peer group will influence your choice in your life. In a sense where during that time when I was in high school, I wanted to be a doctor because everyone in my class wanted to be a doctor. I mean, that was the cool thing at that time. When I moved on to universities, again, universities at that time in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, they were all poised to create more corporate leaders instead of entrepreneurs, at least in the parts that I was studying. Now, of course, when I was mixing around with those peers, with encouragement from my lecturers, I would be motivated to become a corporate leader, a management consultant. However, after I attended the seminar like this, and I happened to meet a lot of young entrepreneurs, I hang out with them, and they inspired me. They gave me the practical knowledge and the ease of heart and the ease of mind to know that there's a support system, a peer mentoring group that will be available for me to actually pursue entrepreneurship. And that was the time where I decided to become an entrepreneur. Now, having said that, you know, as you are young, you could take as many risks as you want, experiment with different businesses. However, as you grow a little bit older, as you have a wife, you have kids, you would then start thinking about scaling your business. It's not all about you anymore. It's about how do you train up other people that could actually represent your business? How could you actually train or create products and services that can be sold to more people without you needing to be physically present? So these are all the factors that have influenced me on how I became a young entrepreneur. Please.
Okay, yeah. Mr. Michael, you're a successful entrepreneur in the eyes of many, and many people dream to be like you. That is actually a sign that you've made it. Can you share with me what do you think are the important skills and attributes one should possess to reach where you have reached today?
Well, Kishan, the first thing I want to share is I'm very touched whenever people say that I'm successful, even though I would always remind people again and again, success is very subjective. Because at the end of the day, a mentor of mine will always remind me, the way how we see success is different. To some people, success means having $1 million in the bank account. To some people, success means bringing your company listed, public listing your company. To some people, success means ruling a country. Or to some people, success just means having a wonderful family, being able to provide for the family. which is why I can share with you that, people like Sir Richard Branson, Steve Jobs, they inspired me. However, I think the group of people, I would say, that continue to inspire me today are your parents, are my parents. Because I believe as two couples come together, they get married, they have kids, it's a huge obligation, it's a huge responsibility, a life-changing responsibility. So what happened is that I look at every parent with admiration. Because for them to bring up a family, for them to groom a family, for me, that's success. Because they're no longer selfish, they are no longer greedy, they are now sharing their lives, they're sharing their love with others. So that is how I would define success. So I really want to thank you, Kishan, and all of you watching. If you really think I'm successful, at the same time, I need to share where I am very grateful with all the help I've got. And again, success is a subjective matter. I am still learning and I'm still growing. Now, having said that, you were asking me to become a young and successful entrepreneur. What are some of the key traits that you must have? Well, number one, I cannot stress enough. You need to be persistent. You need to be knocking on doors. You need to have that over-the-top confidence to believe in what you're selling, to believe in your business, to believe in yourself that you can succeed as a young entrepreneur. That's the most important trait, persistence. Number two, always inspire. Because here's the thing. All entrepreneurs around the world did not succeed on their own. This is my belief. All entrepreneurs around the world have always had a great team behind them. The only ability that the entrepreneur has that have actually helped him create that team to help him grow his business from $1 to $1 billion is the ability for him to inspire. So I want you to think about it for a second. How are you inspiring your other team members to join you in that business? How have you actually aligned their goals in life with the goals that you have set out for your business? Once you have done that, you would have gotten the most motivated, the most loyal group of people with you. And I believe the third trait that is most important for entrepreneurs, as cliche as it may sound, is actually relationships. Know this. Every business deal that you make today all comes from relationship. The moment if you're selling a product, even online, I like to talk about this, Kishan, because people always say, but Michael, if I'm selling my product online, how is that relationship? I mean, duh, I'm putting my product out there and people don't even know me, how could they trust me? Where's the relationship? Hey, when someone reads about your product and if they are inspired, if they are impressed, if your product attracted them, that means that you have managed to create a relationship, a virtual relationship with them to actually get them to pull out that credit card, to take out that paycheck, or to take that money out of their wallet to be given to you, to be contributed to you for the product and services that you have created. If you didn't advertise your product, if you didn't manage to convince people that you are the solution to their problem, they would not part ways with their cash with you. And how do you convince them? It's through relationship. You have to create a relationship with them. At the same time, if you're selling offline products, that is most important. Customers would come back to you because they feel they have a relationship with you. Customers would come back to you because they know you can be trusted. Look at all the big companies in the world. Coca-Cola, Pepsi, General Electric, Apple, Google, Microsoft. The reason why they've grown to a multi-billion-dollar scale business is because they have a relationship. However, their relationship is no longer confined towards the individual entrepreneur's relationship with the customers. No. The founders of Google, Microsoft, General Electric, Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola, they were smart enough to create a brand. Their brand is strong enough to become the message, to actually create that relationship with their target customers. I would say those are the three traits that entrepreneurs need. Number one, be very persistent. Number two, be inspiring. And number three, well, as I've mentioned, create relationships, create trust with your customers.
Nice to hear. I hope everyone tuning in today have taken those three and will use it to succeed. What do you think may have been the turning point in your life that actually made you the person you are today? I know you mentioned earlier the time you fell down of the race. Was that the only turning point, or do you have any other turning points?
I would say that the incident that occurred to me when I was 15 years old, that was actually the main turning point. That was the reason why I turned around my life. But at the same time, along the way, you would meet people, you would meet different unique incidents that would actually pivot, that will actually move your life to directions which you have never ever imagined before. For example, when I was with my event management company, I was with a few partners and we were doing great. And then it was in the year 2013 where I met my girlfriend, who's now my fiance. And my girlfriend at that time motivated me to come out and start my own business, to live my dreams. Because she asked me, she said, Michael, you know, I know you're an entrepreneur. I know you're making good money running the event business, but is this really what you wanted to do? Is this really your calling? And then I found out was every morning I had to drag myself out of bed, even though the business was giving me good money, but I had to force myself to do the business. And I thought, this is not the way how I'm going to lead my life. So because of the encouragement of my girlfriend, I then started off Thriving Talents, a talent development company focusing on delivering seminars, workshops, and coaching for top executives of Fortune 500 companies. And we have grown to 39 countries so far. But what happened was when I started Thriving Talents, things wasn't as easy as it seems. I had to struggle, I had to persist, but it all paid off. So I think along the way, a lesson that I want to share with all the young entrepreneurs out there, be free, be open, be flexible, be highly adaptable to allow incidents, to allow certain people who come into your life. You will know, your intuition will tell you. If these people have come into your life and they're here to actually realign your goals, find your true self. And that is when you'll be able to do a business that truly satisfies.
Nice to hear that. Do you think only top students can achieve their dreams or become an entrepreneur in this matter?
I disagree. I believe everyone is entitled to success. I believe everyone can become an entrepreneur. In fact, one of my mentors shared with me, history has shown, at least for all those entrepreneurs that has been glamorized, all those entrepreneurs, most of them who grace the front cover of Fortune magazine or Forbes, you will notice that most of the entrepreneurs that have been glamorized over the past few decades are always high school dropouts. Now, here's the thing. Are high school dropouts dumb? Well, they're not. But one of the things my mentor would share with me is that, you know, when you drop out of high school, you drop out of university, you do not have a safety net. You know, there's always this perception where if you graduate from a university and you start a business, I mean, the worst thing that could happen is if your business failed, touch wood, you could actually go back to employment. But guess what? That's a self-defeating belief. You are already allowing yourself that reason, saying that, hey, if the business don't work, I don't care. I can go back to pursue a normal job. But guess what? Entrepreneurs who drop out of high school, they have no choice. So because of that, based on all the inspiring stories we have read, it has been theorized that all these dropouts had no choice but to make sure that their business succeeds. However, I need to caution all of you. There is a disclaimer. You need to finish your studies. You need to go up to the highest level of your studies if you can. All right? Because people would always say, you know, I want to be the next Bill Gates. I want to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. I want to be the next Steve Jobs. And they were all high school dropouts. I mean, they were university dropouts. Guess what? They dropped out of Harvard. You know, and Steve Jobs just had this brilliant mind. But how many people are Steve Jobs? How many people are Bill Gates? How many people are Mark Zuckerberg? Not many. So think about it. Always have an academic degree. But at the same time, never ever let that academic degree hold you back. Never ever think that, you know, I can fail in my business because, hey, I have a degree, I can go back to my job. Never let that become a driving force in your mind. Every day, if you become an entrepreneur, you need to lead your team to believe that you can grow the business, you can sustain the business. And I think that's one of the exciting part of becoming an entrepreneur.
Nice. Um, I've got this concern. Like, I've heard many of my friends tell me sometimes in life things don't go the way we plan, or when we try something we fail. On top of that, people laugh at your dreams because it's like too crazy. And at times like that, we feel down, all alone, useless. Have you experienced that?
Well, I
And
would say
if
number one,
you have, how did you go? How did you get through it?
great. I would like to share 3 tips with entrepreneurs or young people out there who are actually going through challenges in their lives. Number one is always be in the right peer group. In a sense, if you're in a negative environment, people do not believe in your dreams, people say you will fail, guess what? You are the master of your destiny. One of the things you could do is, hey, make that decision, take action. Get up and change your group. Get up and associate yourself with different people. Associate yourself with other young entrepreneurs who are able to help you, who are able to motivate you, who are able to encourage you, who have actually gone through that journey that you're going through right now. Get to know them. Ask them questions. Ask them for advice and let them grow you. Let them lead you so that you can escape. So you could win over that depressing time that you're having. So number one is change your peer group. If you believe your peer group is giving too much of negativity, change it. There are a lot of associations out there, a lot of young entrepreneurs clubs. These are all great networks for you to go to reach out to people that would actually mutually want to support your idea. Now that's tip number one. Tip number two is, I'm a believer of this mantra. No matter how tough life gets, life will never beat a tougher person. In a sense where, when the goings gets tough, don't give up. Everything in life, there's one thing constant, and that is change. Which means, right now you may be having a tough time, but have faith. Be grateful. If you believe in the universe or believe in God, do get into prayers, do be grateful. Be grateful for all the blessings you have. Those tough times will pass. Again, just to share, tough times don't last. Tough people do. And the third thing I want to share with entrepreneurs or young people wanting to achieve success out there, how do they combat depression? And it really starts with self-affirmation. And this is very powerful. You get self-affirmation by watching videos like this, by actually sharing advice, sharing by veterans in the industry. You can actually read books that would inspire you. The most powerful tool that human beings need in order to be successful in business and in life is motivation, it's inspiration, it's aspiration. So what you need to do is consume products, read up on resources, read up on books, attend seminars that will be able to give you that boost that you need to weather through those turbulent times.
I'll definitely keep that quote in mind. Tough times don't last, tough people do. That's really true, and that gets me through a lot of situations.
Great. I'm glad, Kishan. I'm glad.
Yeah. What are your lessons that you have learned from being an entrepreneur until today?
Wow, again, I will share this again, persistency counts, keep knocking on doors. And it's like, for example, when Thriving Talents first started, I've always had this dream of working with Fortune 500 companies. And during that time, people were saying that you're crazy. You are a young startup, you're a young company. Why would these Fortune 500 companies even want to work with you? But guess what? Persistency pays. At the end of the day, I approached all these top companies and I got my first client, Microsoft, after 2 months. I mean, I could have given up, but I didn't. I persevered. And then I got my second client, another Fortune 500 company, Intel. I got my third client, another Fortune 500 company, Shell. And can you imagine, all these companies came in because they saw Microsoft, who have given us an opportunity during our first run. Now again, people in the industry has actually said that right now, my company, Thriving Talents, we work with the top companies to enhance the productivity and profitability of their talents. We are considered the Mercedes-Benz of the industry for seminars and corporate training right here in Malaysia and in some parts of Southeast Asia and hopefully the world. But it all started with that first dream of wanting to work with the best. And that happens because we were persistent. Sure, we got shot down a lot. Doors were slammed on our door or slammed on our faces. We didn't give up. We persevered. Number two, please, when you are out there doing business, always have a great relationship with your customers. Always be there to support your customers. Have a genuine relationship. I know going into business is all about closing sales. It's all about getting clients. It's all about earning the money. I mentioned that. However, I would like to share, when you earn the money with the intention of growing your business or sustaining your business, never, ever forget to build genuine relationship. A mentor of mine always remind me, people don't care what you sell. People don't care how much you know until you know how much you care for them. So think about it, all right? So these are the few lessons that I would like to share in my journey of becoming a young entrepreneur, running multiple companies, working with Fortune 500 companies around the world. So that would be my lesson. Yeah.
Normally, a lot of people, when I talk with some people, they tell me that, oh, it's very hard being an entrepreneur, or you'll not succeed. I mean, who are you among people? Or maybe a Steve Jobs is 1 in a million. But I would normally tell them, who says that you are not the 1 in a million? Or
exactly.
People would bring in negativity and all, and I would ask them, they'll say it's hard and all. I would ask them, obviously when we were young, who said that? I mean, when we are young, we dream of driving a Ferrari. Nobody actually dreamt when they were young of driving a Prius or Toyota or something. Obviously, when you're young, you dream big, a Lamborghini or Ferrari. So why not have that passion to actually chase your dream? But it's coming from me. So before I end my interview, I would like to ask you what advice you would give the youth of today.
Well, first of all, I'm a believer where if you're going to be thinking and doing things anyway, might as well think big and do big things. You know, and I'm always a believer in that. I mean, here I am, a local Malaysian kid from a northern state of Penang. My parents are self-employed. They believe in providing education for the poor. Who would have thought that this young Malaysian kid would appear on CNN 3 times, be mentored by Sir Richard Branson twice? And I mean, I didn't expect that myself. But hey, when opportunity presents itself to you, that's your responsibility to make the best out of it. That is your responsibility to make a decision, create some action, move, do something about that opportunity. And that is when you start creating that opportunity. I mean, people have always shared with Michael, you should write a book. And guess what? I did publish my first book called The Potential Matrix, where we studied the top millennials around the world. You can check it out at potentialmatrix.com. Now, when I first started this project, I knew that I wanted to write a book. So what am I going to do? Am I going to lie down on my bed thinking that, you know, that day will come when I write a book? No. I decided that if I'm going to write a book, I'm going to get up right now. I'm going to bring up my lazy ass, sit it on top of the chair, take out my laptop, and start typing those few words. And one of the things that I always want to do, that I always advise entrepreneurs, is to have this mindset of contrast. Now, how does it work? It means like this. For example, Kishan, for today, it was a long day for me, and to be honest, I wasn't feeling at 100%. It's been a long day with a lot of meetings today. However, I was thinking to myself, when you approached me and reminded me that we have this interview right now, I was thinking, you know, I'm so tired, I'm so lazy, can we just push this interview to another day? But what I thought was, number one, I made a promise to an outstanding young student, to a outstanding young leader like yourself. I want to fulfill that promise because that's my integrity, that's my value. Number two, I believe, yes, I may be tired right now. I can't wait to go to sleep later. It's been a long day. However, I believe if I'm able to invest my time to be involved in this Google Hangout with you, that means that I am also sharing my message with my thousands of followers on YouTube, on my channel right now. And if you think about the contrast, that would mean, you know what, if I delayed our interview today, I'll be sleeping, all this content will be lost, it may not appear, people will not be inspired, I wouldn't have the ability to change lives. So if you start thinking about contrast, your perspective of the world will change. You know, there are times that I would think, why am I attending this meeting? Why am I doing this business? But every time my investor, one of my mentors, would remind me, Michael, I understand you need to attend 5 meetings in a day. You need to attend 10 meetings in a day sometimes. But guess what? You only need that 1 meeting out of the 10 to give you that $1 million project. And with that $1 million money in your business, you could literally change your life. You could literally grow your business exponentially. Now, when you have that contrasting mindset, you would then start to appreciate every opportunity that comes into your realm. So that's very important. So one advice I'd like to share with entrepreneur, again, I've echoed this throughout our interview today, be persistent, invest in relationship, and one of the advice I just shared with you is, if you feel that you're lazy, if you feel that you don't want to do it, you want to give up, have those contrasting thoughts. Always ask, what are you missing out? Are you giving up on a dream that you have really wanted to do because you quit too early in your pursuit in entrepreneurship?
Thank you very much, Mr. Michael, for this interview today. It's really been an honor, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview you. Even today, I don't know, every time I talk to you, I get inspired in some way or another, and I'm really thankful for that. Thank you very much.
I am very, very touched. Thank you so much, Kishan. And because of your initiative, this video, this sharing session can go out to thousands of other young people around the world. So I have you to thank. I have all the viewers watching this right now, all the listeners. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And please do check me out on my website, www.michaelteoh.com, or you could actually check me out on my company's website, www.thrivingtalents.com. And I look forward to seeing all of you again. Thank you, Kishan, for this interview.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.